Happy Saturday, March 23rd, everyone. It's hard to believe we're already at the end of March, but we are, and we're still talking about two significant snowstorms, both of which could produce over a foot of snow and also some severe weather potential early on next week, especially on Sunday into Monday timeframe. We'll be breaking down the timing for that, and a new significant storm moving through the country for Easter Sunday and Easter weekend. So we'll be diving into all those details in today's weather forecast. So I am Hunter here at Weather on the Go, and if you do like to subscribe to channels that have detailed, accurate weather forecast, this is the channel for you. So make sure to subscribe to the channel down below and also press the like button, the thumbs up button down below. It really helps out more than you know. So let's look at the Northeast. We do have some weather alerts to talk about here, and both in the form of heavy rain and heavy snow. Let's look at the heavy snow first. So you can see here in the purples, those are winter weather advisories, and then in the pink shaded colors, those are winter storm warnings, where we are going to see some very heavy snowfall over the next 24 to 48 hours. And then you can see across these green areas from Boston down through New York City and Long Island, through New Jersey there, down into Philadelphia, Baltimore, and into portions of Washington, D.C. Those are flood watches where we continue to watch for some flooding going through this weekend. So let's look here at the radar as we go through this morning. There's that narrow band of some very heavy, very wet snow in interior New England going through this morning. And then that transition zone where we have the shallow cold layer at the surface and the warm layer aloft. So that melts those snowflakes down to raindrops. They fall as rain and then refreeze with the contact of the pavement as it is below freezing. And then here's the warm side of the storm. We have the heavier rain across portions of the Delmarva up through the I-95 corridor this morning. As we go into the afternoon, the heavy snow will be overspreading northern central Maine. There's that icy mix across portions of coastal Maine down into central Vermont, New Hampshire, and central New York State toward the Albany region. Very heavy rains ongoing for New York City up through Hartford and Boston this afternoon. As we go into this evening, still lingering snow and an icy mix up there into Maine, and some rainfall in coastal Maine there as well. Finally, as we get into early Sunday morning, we are going to start to shut off the taps here, and we're going to see some drier weather entering into your Sunday, March 24th timeframe, but not before seeing some healthy snowfall totals, okay? So we're going to be seeing 12 to 18 inches worth of snow from Maine through Vermont, New Hampshire, and even into portions there of upstate New York. An 8 to 12 inch snowfall total is not to be ruled out there. Very sharp gradient, though, in our snowfall totals on the southern edge. So down here towards Boston, you're probably not going to get really anything, maybe just a dusting of snow with this event. And looking at the icy mix, we could be seeing anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to up to 1/4 of an inch of ice for coastal Maine, portions of southern Vermont, New Hampshire, and central New York State, and even portions of central and western Massachusetts with that icy threat as we go through Sunday as well. And then on the warm side, heavy rain, flash flooding potential, Boston, Hartford, down to New York City there, into the Trenton region, back down there toward Delaware. We're going to be seeing widespread rainfall amounts of 1 to 3 inches with isolated 4-inch totals not out of the question. And that's where that slight risk for flash flooding does come into play there. And I do really think that there could be some flash flooding along the I-95 corridor with this setup. So looking at the rest of the country going through the weekend, that's not the only storm in town. We turn our attention back to the west. We have another significant snowstorm across the northern U.S. We have winter storm watches that have been hoisted for a couple of days now, as those local national weather services are getting us ready, gearing us up for what is to come. And there are even some areas in central Minnesota already turning those watches over to winter storm warnings as of this morning because of this very powerful storm. Looking at the jet stream, here it comes through California into the southern U.S. later this weekend, and then moving across the eastern U.S. as we go into early next week. And just a big bowling ball trough here. This is definitely going to be producing some very dynamic weather. So as we go through today, here is that snowstorm that's going to be in the beginning stages across the western third of the country. Heavier snows in the Cascades and the Sierras out here in California. Heavier rains across the west coast from Seattle to Portland down toward the Sacramento Valley there. Moving into Sunday, there's our snowstorm. It's really starting to get going here across portions of Wisconsin, northern Iowa, into Minnesota, and really back into the Dakotas here. I think the deterioration of those roadways will really take over Sunday morning into Sunday afternoon. Some of that snowfall will be trending back here into portions of Montana. The warm side of the storm, though, we're monitoring some severe weather. We'll get to that in a moment, but into the Kansas, Oklahoma, and North Texas there, into the warm sector Sunday. Monday, mature surface cyclone, 991 millibar low there in western Iowa. Cold front severe weather setup across the middle and lower Mississippi Valley, especially heavy deformation snow band on the backside here across portions of Minnesota back into eastern portions of the Dakotas. And those tight isobars, yeah, some wind-driven snow is definitely a possibility. Going into Tuesday, this is going to start to occlude, so the system is going to start to slow down a little bit. Still seeing some snowfall there into Minnesota. Very heavy snows up there into southeastern Canada, into Ontario and southeastern Manitoba. Another cold front setup, severe weather potential. A low-end day, though, on Tuesday for severe weather as the dynamics start to move away. And then on Wednesday, the system really occludes, moves more into southeastern Canada, but lingering with some rainfall here. And over a dense snowpack, this could set up a flooding threat for Wednesday across Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and upstate New York on top of all the snow we have seen. So very active weather. Let's look at the total snowfall here going through the middle of the week, because this storm is going to be significant. Look at all the heavy snow here, northern Wisconsin, the western UP of Michigan, back through Minnesota, the Dakotas here, and eastern Montana. And let's look at those totals. There will be a lot of locations here in the eastern Dakotas, Minnesota, in particular central and northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and the far western areas of the UP of Michigan that pick up anywhere from 12 to possibly up to 24 inches at 2 feet of snow in a few spots, especially there into central Minnesota through Wednesday. And then that transition zone here, not as big of an ice threat as in the Northeast, but still a glaze to a couple hundredths of an inch could still be treacherous out here. So definitely watching that from Nebraska into South Dakota, northern Iowa, into southern Minnesota, and then up into central Wisconsin. And then the rain side, yes, we're going to see some heavier rains down across the southeast, the Dixie Alley region. This will mainly be dropping around Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe, so definitely watching that into early next week. So let's look at the severe weather potential on the warm side. So you have a slight risk of severe weather. We have a dry line and cold front setup here for the Great Plains. Very classic severe weather setup here. Slight risk, level 2 out of 5 for central Kansas down into northwestern Oklahoma. But that marginal risk in the dark green, that level 1 out of 5 on the scale, does trend down there into central Texas, west of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then as we go into Monday, we have a little severe weather threat up there into Iowa, around Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, and Iowa City, Waterloo, those areas. Keeping an eye on that near the track of the surface low. And then we're looking at a much more significant severe weather setup for East Texas, southern Arkansas, Louisiana, and into Mississippi there, into Jackson, into Shreveport, into Tyler, Texas there, the Pine Bluffs area, into Arkansas. We'll keep an eye on that. All modes of severe weather will be in play on Monday. So let's time this out. So as we go into Sunday morning, outside of a stray shower or storm that could produce some smaller hail, some cloud to ground lightning, we're really just not seeing anything significant Sunday morning. As we go into the peak heating of the day, Sunday afternoon, mid and late afternoon, here's that dry line cold frontal setup, and you can see some supercell thunderstorms firing off that cold front and dry line. These would be the ones to produce damaging winds over 60 miles per hour, some quarter size, maybe even golf ball size hail cannot be ruled out in a setup like this, and even potentially a couple of tornadoes. And then this will form into a broken line of storms as they move east into eastern portions of Kansas, Oklahoma, and into North Texas Sunday evening. Then as we go into into Monday morning, we have some lingering storm down into the better instability East Texas along and east of the I-35 corridor, roaming the landscape there from Waco up there toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Tyler, Texas, some large hail producers these could be, but then they will mature as they move into portions of Louisiana and southern Arkansas Monday afternoon. And I'm really concerned about Monday evening. This could be a nasty setup here for especially Mississippi and Louisiana. So if you know any folks that live from Jackson back to Baton Rouge, Alexandria, even the New Orleans region, just give them a call and tell them Monday evening, even after dark, we could be seeing some tornadoes out out there. This could be a nasty setup Monday evening. We'll keep an eye on that. Behind this storm system, though, another punch of cold air comes in, especially for the west and the north here. We're going to see below normal temperatures from Thursday, March 28th through the start of April on Monday. April Fool's, guys. Yeah, this is not an April Fool's forecast for sure. We're seeing another cold air mass coming down from Canada and a new storm system. So here comes the new storm. The Pacific Southwest this time getting much of that moisture, well above average precipitation for California, Nevada, getting into Utah there, into Colorado and southern Wyoming, and even into Arizona through this time frame to begin April. So here's our big bowling ball trough here, moving across portions of the country with our significant storms Sunday, Monday, Tuesday time frame. Now let's look up here into the Northeast Pacific Ocean. Just south of the Aleutian Islands early next week, we got another trough brewing here, and it has its sights set on the west coast. So as we go into later next week, another big trough moving in on the west coast. And then by Easter weekend, Saturday, March 30th into Sunday, March 31st on Easter Sunday, another big bowling ball trough, this time moving further south, Southern California, into southern Nevada, into portions of Utah and Arizona, and this will set up our next big storm. So as we go into Thursday, here we go. A lull in the action in the middle of the country. We turn our attention back out to the west. Heavy snow again. Deja vu across portions of the Cascades, the Sierras, and the Northwest Rockies there. And then as we go into Friday, a little lull in the action. It'll take some time for the moisture to move in from the Northeast Pacific. But as we go into Saturday, we may have a smaller system up there into the upper Midwest. Certainly not that big of a deal. Some rain, maybe some snow, but certainly not a big system overall. With the big system is down here into California. Very heavy rain for Los Angeles and San Diego, and even the Santa Barbara region getting some very heavy rain. Heavier snows there into the Rockies, parts of the Four Corners region like Flagstaff could be seeing some heavier snow on Saturday, and then into Easter Sunday. Yes, another big storm across the middle of the country, warm sector, severe weather setup, and heavy rain. And we have another snowstorm, very similar storm track as this one this weekend. And this is going to be cutting across Colorado, Nebraska, getting into southern South Dakota, and again, probably up into Minnesota with that snow track for Easter Sunday. And we have to look at the severe weather dynamics with this one as well. And already several days out, we're about 7-8 days away from this, and they're already showing instability values over 1,000, perhaps over 2,000 joules per kilogram in parts of especially the southern plains, and some of that moving up there toward the Midwest, and a very potent looking mid-level jet in the 500 millibar layer overlapping some of that instability is concerning look for severe weather for Easter Sunday. So if you have any Easter Sunday plans, do make sure you are keeping focus on the forecast as we do get closer for this storm, because here's Easter Sunday during the day. The low track could be up here into the Midwest. We could have some enough lift dynamics for thunderstorms to erupt near the low pressure track. And then as we go through the day, peak heating of the day into Easter Sunday night, this could be a cold front severe weather setup from the Midwest, Illinois Valley, down through the Ozarks there and into the southern plains. And some of these storms in Texas with that better instability as it looks could be some real big hail and damaging wind producers, with even some tornadoes on Easter Sunday if that comes to fruition, and then into Monday morning to start April. So a very active weather pattern is in the offing. And not only that, we're going to be seeing another snowstorm moving across the country, Colorado and Utah, back into Nebraska. I think Nebraska could get hit hard with this snowstorm Thursday, March 28th through Sunday, Easter Sunday, March 31st. We'll keep an eye on that as we go towards late March. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like detailed, accurate weather forecasts. We'll keep them coming here on this channel. Also, be sure to press the like button, the thumbs up button. It helps out more than you know, and I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend out there.